Well folks, as the new year rings in, it's time to look at the collection of the best PS5 games of 2024, definitively ranked with a rigorous voting system that we've devised here at Push Square. All of the team and contributors and even a reader's poll vote on their top 5, allocate points, and then those points are brought together to whittle it down to a ranked 10. So without further ado, here are Push Square's top 10 games of 2024. Persona 3 Reload kicks off the top 10, a beautiful remake of this PS2 classic with stunning menu design, an immaculate soundtrack, and of course, that time management system to get invested in. As a student, you'll lead a double life, attending classes, maintaining relationships, but when it comes to the dark hour, you join the specialised extracurricular execution squad, or SEAS, a team tasked with tackling Tartarus, a large tower filled with shadows. You'll be tackling shadows during the dark hour in stylized turn-based combat where your protagonist can take on multiple personas. This is a built from the ground up remake incorporating gameplay and stylistic flair from Persona 5 into an old school classic, and genuinely the art direction in this one is just top tier. Landing on PlayStation 5 at the beginning of the year like a speeding drop pod, Helldivers 2 is easily one of the best co-op experiences that you will find on the platform. Teams of 4 head out to bug, robot and now alien-infested planets to spread democracy, but this game loves to put you through the ringer. Arrowhead Games has cooked up a truly cinematic affair, but also one of the most hilarious games of the year too, with some of the coolest gameplay upended by hilarious fumbles, like a misplaced stratagem or an accidental headshot with friends. You're guaranteed to have a laugh with your mates when playing Helldivers 2. An ambitious RPG, Dragon's Dogma 2 really wants you to craft your own adventure, heading out across monster-infested roads and woodlands with your own merry band of AI companions. Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like a very spontaneous experience, whether it's something catching your eye off in the distance or a bump into some sneaky enemies. Basically, it asks you to expect the unexpected. There's a great flow to Dragon's Dogma 2 and a real groundedness to its open world. You aren't unlocking towers and fast travelling everywhere after the first few hours. You have to explore its world with one foot in front of the other, and because of its slower pace, in some ways, it feels bigger and grander than a lot of other RPGs out there. The second part in this trilogy remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, picks up from where the brilliant remake left off, with Cloud and the gang venturing out with the Shadow of Midgar in the hunt for Sephiroth. Square Enix seemingly took on some feedback with this one, tweaking and improving the gameplay experience from remake, whilst still holding on to that affinity for masterful cutscenes and brilliant adaptation. There's still plenty of nostalgia-filled glow-ups here that'll make you feel like a kid again if you were lucky enough to experience the original on PS1, but not only that, if you're a big RPG fan that loves to sink even more time into your favourite worlds, then Rebirth is certainly more expansive than Remake, with a plethora of side content to dig into. Silent Hill 2 is likely the biggest surprise of the year, with Bloober Team knocking it out of the park with an authentic yet modernised remake of an icon of the PS2 era. James Sunderland endeavours Silent Hill on the hunt for his wife, once thought dead, but a mysterious note indicates otherwise. It's a very esoteric narrative experience, but the gameplay here is second to none. Bloober mixes its use of almost claustrophobic darkness with unreal sound design and fright-inducing haptics to make a truly unforgettable horror experience. I just loved slowly pacing my way through the creepiest apartments, hospitals, hotels and all sorts. There are some great levels in here with properly memorable locales, and I think it manages to keep some of that PS2 vibe about it as well. This is one you've got to play with all of the lights off and headphones on. It's rare to see an indie game in the mix with major releases vying for Game of the Year, but Balatro really is one of 2024's best. Its main strength lies in its design, which applies all kinds of fantastic roguelike systems to a standard set of playing cards, making for a game that's easy to learn but fiendishly difficult to put down. Initially, you're just playing the best hand you can with your regular cards, but you'll quickly unlock jokers, upgrade your deck with tarot and planet cards, and optimize your build with all sorts of game-changing effects. There are countless combinations and synergies to discover, and when you find something that works, there's little more satisfying than watching everything popping off and your score ballooning to ridiculous proportions. Balatro may appear to be a simple game of cards, and in some ways it is, but the ways in which it lets you bend the rules and discover all new strategies is incredibly gratifying. Shift Up made the switch from mobile to console to develop Stellar Blade, and what a fantastic debut to make. This sci-fi hack and slash harks back to the old weird days of PS3. It's filled with grueling boss fights, stunning environments, and a proper vibey soundtrack. When I was playing through it, it reminded me of the days I'd rent games from Blockbusters, and you'd spend a Saturday morning playing through a cool new sci-fi world, and I think that's exactly what Stellar Blade is. It's not the deepest experience out there, but it's got a bonkers sci-fi story, gorgeous visuals, and really impressive combat. Some of the bosses in this are just so much fun to fight, with flashy special move animations, quick dodges and parries, and some gnarly enemy designs. It is a lot of fun. We're into the top 3 now, and we're starting that with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, one of the biggest and most complete Yakuza Like a Dragon titles ever, to the point where it needs 2 separate protagonists. Beloved dumbass Ichiban Kasuga is back on a quest that drags him all over a brand new setting of Honolulu in Hawaii, whilst the legendary Kazuma Kiryu is faced with some of the most intense drama the series has ever seen, and that is saying a lot. Utterly stuffed with side activities and mini-games, Infinite Wealth is the kind of game that you can truly get lost in. Slap some in-depth RPG mechanics and a massively improved turn-based combat system on top of that, and there's no doubt that this is one of the most engrossing PS5 releases of the year. Number 2, we have Metaphor ReFantazio. Obviously, it has a lot in common with Atlus's Persona and Shin Megami Tensei games, but it sets itself apart with its rich fantasy setting, gorgeous art direction, and booming orchestral soundtrack. Metaphor already feels like its own thing, a unique IP that's taking the developer in an exciting new direction. In particular, the characters are so memorable. Your party members and surrounding followers are deeply endearing, and even the bad guys are brilliantly realised. Top all of this off with a fantastic turn-based battle system, and you've got one of the best RPGs that we have played in years. So, you may have guessed it, but Astro Bot is Push Square's Game of the Year, and not just by a wee extra point or two. No, this one won out by quite the margin, and it is no wonder. Team Asobi took the delicious little slice of fun in Astro's Playroom and somehow managed to expand it out to a fully fledged platformer. I liked Playroom, but I really wasn't too sure how I felt about Astro Bot upon its reveal. But the way that Astro Bot just gets its claws in you with its infectious, joyous atmosphere and its love for all things PlayStation. There are levels in here that if you're a fan of PlayStation, they're really going to tug on those heartstrings. So congrats to Team Asobi for making it all the way to the top to claim the Game of the Year 2024 trophy. Thank you everyone for watching. Let me know down in the comments what your personal Game of the Year was in 2024, and when you're commenting away, because I'm sure you 100% agree with this list, consider subscribing to the channel for more PlayStation video content. Until next time then, I've been Aiden, and this has been Push Square.